Hello and welcome to our 2023 Van Quick Start Guide. My name is Jonathan Rudolph. I am the data director here at the Democratic Party of Oregon. I've been here since 2018. I love helping Democrats win their races. I am a lifelong Oregonian, lifelong Democrat. Let me close this window. And I'm here today to give you just soup to nuts basic training. A van, especially for folks who have never used the van before. I'm going to create a new account, get set up in our system as if I had not done anything before. We're going to create a phone bank. We're going to create turf to send to minivans so we can knock on doors. We'll create a script first. And I'll show you how to do mailers as well if you want to send out mailers. So let's get started. Here's some van resources. The best way to reach van is van.dpo.org. So if you ever get lost, you can always go back to the site there. We have training materials, which we're always adding to at dpo.org/training. The password is lowercase Democrats. And there's help docs inside of van as well. So it's extensive documentation that the van team has written. Just click on your name in the top right and then go to van help docs. From there, and you can search for articles. It's really great. And then there's a 30-page manual if you want to. It's probably the best place to start for beginners if you just want something written. It's 30-page PDF, and you can find it at dpo.org/manual. And then there's a manual as well for Minivan. It's the phone app that's amazing that you can send volunteers just a quick list number and they can put it in their phone. But if you want a manual on that, you can go to dpo.org/minivanual. And we have a security checklist if you just want to make sure you're staying up to date on your security at dpo.org/security checklist. And for our van policies, reporting in-kind contribution or how to get van access, you can go to dpo.org/candidate. So what is VAN? VAN is basically the most up-to-date and data-enhanced voter file in Oregon. Every month we buy a file from the Secretary of State with every registered voter in the state, and we get that file, we send it to the DNC, we put it back in the system. It's basically a list of every registered voter in the state, but we have a lot of tools and enhancements to make sure you are targeting the very best folks and narrowing down to the most impactful voters that are going to help you win your election. It has vote history, it has modeling data, it's updated monthly, like I said, it's the most up-to-date voter file in Oregon. And during COVID, we couldn't knock on doors, so we just went all out adding new cell phones to our van, and it still is a benefit to this day as 73% of Democrats have phone numbers. We have census data, local districts, ballot return data, also called matchbacks, is super important those 2 weeks before Election Day, where we tell you who has already cast their ballot and you can exclude them from your list automatically inside a van. It's pretty slick. Basic rules to live by. The van is a community resource, so as Democrats, we've really lived our values of community and connectedness, making this one common system that benefits everyone in the democratic sphere. So it's really important that we put our data back in the system because it helps everyone, and it's going to help your own campaign down the road. So if a number is marked as disconnected or someone has moved, if you knock on their door, you mark that in the system and helps everyone, make our data better. You want to also protect our voter data, keep it confidential and secure. And you want to make sure you have your own van committee and do not campaign out of another candidate's van or the county party or caucus van. That is definitely forbidden, and it's not even legally compliant. So talk to me, support@dpo.org. Just send me an email there, and we're happy to get you set up and make sure you're using the right van if you have any questions. Your van account, when you get set up, you will get manager access. So you can create your own users. You don't have to bug me about it. But if you go into the administrative menu on the bottom left, then click that Add New User button. There'll be steps to enter the email, the name of the person you want to add, and the type of access you want to give them. Like I said, matchbacks are super important. It's who's cast their ballot or not already, and you can exclude the folks who have already voted from your lists. If you go to dpo.org/matchbacks 2 weeks before an election, you can see, I upload them every day about 10 a.m. once I get the file, so you can see who's cast their ballot, and then you can make your lists after that. So direct voter contact and its tools is the most effective method of winning elections, and that's what we're going to cover today. just a quick guide to how to create a phone bank, how to create your script, and how to cut turf and make a minivan list number that you can give to volunteers. So we've created these easy voter contact targets. Group 1 is really the best for your first phone bank, so we'll be using that to make our virtual phone bank today. But if you want really dense turf that has the most amount of doors in the least amount of space, you can go ahead and check all these boxes, and these are found under targets of Create a List, and these are just suggested targets. They have some folks removed that we don't think you should be talking to, folks who have identified themselves as hostile or Trump supporters in the past. So we've removed these folks from the list, and then we've given you these Democratic voters and progressive NAV voters with good phone numbers that you can use, or just check all the boxes if you want to do door knocking and turf. Or if you want a more targeted list and maybe walk farther from door to door, you can just check the first 3 groups if you want Democrats only, but it's really flexible, and we can go into the system and check those boxes when we create our lists. And then another common question is, how do I make sure my other teammates or other campaign members see my lists? And you want to go into your folder. When you go into the main menu, view my folders, edit folder, and then from there you can add users to your folder. And I just add everyone in the committee when I am working. So, it doesn't hurt to just make sure everyone can see all your lists. So edit folder, then add all the users in your committee to the list. And so today we'll be doing Create a List mostly with a phone bank and turf cutting. But if you want to look up an individual voter, you have statewide access for quick lookup. So you can type someone's name in and get to see their vote history, get to see their address. Just use this information well, but quick lookup is really the data on an individual level, and you can make notes. You can make sure that they answer a survey question a certain way if you talk to them on an individual level. So it's a great way to put data back in on an individual level. But the good thing about our phone banks and turf cutting and door knocking is all the data gets put automatically back in if you're using minivan or open phone bank, and you don't have to worry about going back in and manually entering the data later. So I've created a new account here, and this is just a vanilla. This is not even the highest level account. This is like a medium level account. If you were to create an account for someone, it would be exactly this. So the first thing the person's going to see, or you're going to see when you set up your account, hopefully, is Vote Builder Connected. And you press Done, and then it's going to take you to the user agreement, and you can make sure you've read that and say you've read that and press exit. I know it should say agree, but it says exit. So we're here at the van main menu, and this is just the first screen you'll see. The first thing we want to do is go to codes, questions, and scripts, and let's make our canvassing script. And you just go add new script. For name, let's go 23 March script. Obviously, I've entered that before with the autocomplete. And you can make one script that will work both with phone banking and door knocking. So let's go ahead and do that. And when you add your script elements, the text is kind of in the beginning. It's an introduction. So, you want to write what you want your volunteers to say, but hi, I'm a volunteer for Georgia Blue State. Georgia has been a champion for students. And then you can go on. When you're done writing your text, press add. It won't be added to the script until you press that add button. So that's kind of like a gotcha. There, the text is on the script. For all your scripts, you want to ask your candidate support question. And I create a candidate support question for you when I set up your van. So you'll want to find it from the list here. It will be there. It will say ID and then the candidate name. So for this one, it's ID Georgia Blue State, which is our test committee. I'm going to press add. Survey questions are basically a way to collect data. They have multiple choice responses. You can only select one at a time. So each canvas is limited to one survey response. So that's usually in the form of strong support, lean support, undecided. If they oppose the candidate, then it's lean opposed or strong opposed. And this data does help us in our system for future campaigns and for other Dems running in future elections. Let's go ahead and add a preferred language on there. If let's see, if we want to identify folks who speak languages other than English. But if you don't want to put that on there, that's fine. And we can put on the lawn sign. So if they want a lawn sign, if you have lawn signs, you can ask that in the field or over the phone, and then have someone follow up later. And then for activist codes, there's a host of options. But say, you can ask them if they want to volunteer for the campaign. Give them the 23 vol prospect activist code. And on the script, it will just be a switch or like on off. If they want to volunteer, you can flip that switch and then follow up with them later. And then you can add more text like, thank you so much for your time. Add. So this script is pretty much ready. Let's go ahead and press save. And then that's in our script section, ready to go. So just to recap, the first thing you want to do is create your script. And if you press up here, DNC Vote Builder, this is going to take you back to the main menu, and we're ready to make our first phone bank list. So like I said earlier, quick lookup. Quick lookup is a good way to find individual voters, and you can add data that way. But create a new list is a really good way to find groups of voters when you want to make a phone bank or a list. And I'm going to go ahead and go to local districts. A good first starting place is to go to local districts, star that so it takes it up to the top, and then we're also going to star targets, and that will take it to the top as well. And if we expand this target section, we'll see all these great voter contact universes. Right now, let's say we're running for the Sherwood School District, and I'm going to select under local district school to get this district. And some counties split up the district by county, so you might have to do each county individually, but it's good for splitting up your list. So let's go to Sherwood, and let's do the Washington County version of the Sherwood School District. There we go, 88J, Washington County, run that list. 16,000 people in the district, but if we want to narrow by Democratic spring voters with phones, so that's 2303 folks. That's a great size for a phone bank. And let's go ahead and change this so we do not see people's names and phone numbers. We see their party. All right. And I will probably edit out that screen that had people's information on. From here, we can do save list as, and then a save search. And let's go ahead and make a new folder. Feel free to pause this recording or rewind if I'm going too fast. But let's do a new search, new folder, phone banking searches. And then for this, we can do 230320 Sherwood Washco phone bank 1 or group 1. And you can decide your own naming conventions, but whatever works for you and whatever you're going to remember is going to work best. So I'm going to do run search now that it's saved. Run search, and then we're going to press the calls button, set up virtual phone bank list, press next. Let's go ahead and save my search criteria. We've already saved it, but let's go ahead and replace it in the phone banking services. It's good to just save lists, but it's going to make you save the list again. March phone bank to Washington County. Script. Remember, that's the first step we did. Let's go ahead and choose that script that we just created. Start date, it's today. End date is, let's make the end date election day. Very important, OpenVPB. We want to publish to openvpb.com. Press next. It's going to create this awesome, quick link here. You press copy, it copies it into your clipboard. You can just paste it here and send to volunteers, and they can start making calls within 5 minutes. They don't even need a VAN account. They can create their own action ID. Here we are, the first person we need to call. He's a 69-year-old male, it says, and we can change those options. But here's his phone number. So volunteers will use their own phone to make this call, and this is an absolutely free service. But see all these things we added to the script. This text here, would you like a lawn sign? Would you like to volunteer? Thank you so much for your time. And then once they fill out this information, They can do save and next call, and all that data will be entered in the system. If they couldn't reach that person, they weren't home, then to reach those options, you have to void out all the other data. I couldn't reach the Robert, so left message, busy, wrong number, not home. If they're not home, save and next call. So the folks that are not home, if you go back to your virtual phone bank options and do send to round 2, anybody that you contacted will be removed from the list, but anyone who wasn't home or was an answering machine or any of these other options will be added onto the list so they can be called again. So your phone banks, as you send to next round again and again, they're going to shrink down, and you're going to be left with folks that are probably not going to answer their phone ever, that just don't answer unknown numbers perhaps. So at that point you want to probably make a new phone bank and add new universes. But this is a great way to just start calling voters. If you want to go back to the phone bank later and change those options or see where it's at, you can go to the administrative menu, phone services, then virtual phone bank. And then you can see your phone bank from there, send it to the next round, see how it's doing. That's phone banks. That is super easy. But if you get stuck, give us an email at support@dpo.org. So let's go back. Let's go to that local district again. We're going to select school under type in local districts. Then we're going to go to Sherwood School District in Washington County. And remember, some counties split them up. So you might have to select the other counties or make sure you have van access to the other counties. If you're not sure, you can email me at support@dpo.org. So let's make this a really dense turf. So our volunteers don't have to walk too far from between door to door. And we're going to go ahead and check all 6 of these voter contact universes, which include progressive NAVs and general election voters. Let's see how much this is. 4,654 folks in this district. That's a great number for door knocking. And let's go ahead and run the search. And then from here, it's always a good idea to save your search. So let's make a new folder called turf lists, turf cutting, or March turfs, yeah. But if you want to use your turfs for more than just March, it's like turf, we can call it walk searches. And from here, we can do March, Washington County, turfs. We're going to press save, and that's saved in the list. Let's run this again. So once it's loaded and it's in my list here, let's go ahead and press the minivan button. Oh, excuse me. That's to send it straight to me. We want to cut the turf first. So we want to press the cut turf button. And from here, it's this slick interface that it's basically like Google Maps. And you can go in and see where you want to start making turfs. So for volunteer turfs, I'd say 30 doors is pretty good for starting, unless they're super ambitious, or you can always give them more. So right here is a nice little pocket of doors, and you don't want to have folks cross busy streets. That's the biggest flag. And turf cutting is really an art and a science, because it does play. Local knowledge is important. It does play in as a factor. So the more that you know the area and you know which streets that probably folks shouldn't cross, or any obstacles or dangers that you can help folks avoid, is always better. You don't have to cut every door. Like these outliers here are probably not going to be good to add a turf. You don't want them walking down by a lake for just one door. So this looks like a good turf, and I'm going to close this turf. You're basically drawing polygons on the map by putting dots. So you're going to close this turf by pressing the dot that you originally pressed first. So you close that loop. We have 36 doors, 61 people. The first number is always the number of individuals, and the second number is the number of households or doors. So that's a great first turf, but let's go ahead and create a bigger turf now, say for the candidate themselves or a super vol. And this area looks great. We don't want them crossing Sunset Boulevard. I'm going to put down a dot for the second turf, and you see the dot comes down on the map. I draw a dot there. We can draw another dot there. We're just basically making polygons. And then we're going to draw dots on Sunset so they don't have to cross the street. Oh, this is a giant turf. So if someone's extremely ambitious, and we can move these dots if we don't want to include everyone, but let's make a giant turf for, say, I'm the candidate and I want to just take this on a Sunday, and I've got hours to devote. So there's turf 1, there's turf 2. We're looking good. We can fill this out later, but for now, let's press save and finish. And it's going to create these turfs here under this map region. And this is in the My Turf section. But if you want to print this out, the best option is always print region. Now, if you go to your folders, I'm going to start a new tab here. Let's see how this list looks in our walk searches. And it's going to show up as a map region here. So either way, whether you're accessing in the My Turf section or in your folder itself, either way, you're going to do print region. So here you can go to this little caret or this drop down, print region, but we're going to go through our folder itself as this is the easiest to access. And we're going to go to print region. Are you sure you want to load this map region and overwrite your current list? Well, it's currently loaded, so we're not really overwriting it. We're just refreshing it. So again, we press print region, report format. There's lots of different options. I would always choose walk. You can play around with different settings, but let's do Oregon Walk 4, tall, 3-line bars. That script, remember the first thing we did? Let's go ahead and select that script we created. And you can try other different scripts too, and try different messaging options, and feel free to make more than one script. Contacted how for turf cutting and minivan, you're always going to choose walk. And the title seems good to me. There's a lot of different options, but the defaults make the most sense in most cases. So we're going to go ahead and press next. Then we press My PDF Files. And from there, we can download the PDF, and look how this looks. This is awesome. It's got turf 1, the smaller turf. It's got turf 2, the larger turf. It's got it on paper too, so if you want to print it out for your volunteers who don't want to use minivan, they can use paper, but you just want to make sure that data is entered back in. But for the folks using minivan, which we highly encourage, it's actually very rare these days to have a volunteer use paperless, but we still support it, obviously. What I would do is just print out this first page, and at your events, just have this page on the table. Canvassers can enter their name, they can enter their phone number, what time they went out into the field, came back in. But the most important thing is this list number. So these digits you just give to the volunteer, and they download the Minivan Touch app from the App Store or Android Marketplace or Play Store. And they can just create their action ID in 3 minutes, enter this list number, and it will show up with all those doors on the phone with geolocation, telling them where their next door is, telling them the current location. It's quite slick. So that's all you need, really. And so if I had filled out all those turfs, then they would all be here. But since we only did 2, there's only 2 list numbers, and these list numbers are good for 30 days. So if you're going to plan canvases down the road, longer than 30 days, I would wait to make your lists before giving them to folks, because if they were generated 30 days ago and you give them to folks, it's going to say it's expired. So you want to make sure you give them fresh lists, but that's how easy it is. And you don't have to print out these other pages, like I said. So that's really basically turf cutting, phone banks. And then let's just go to a mailed list real quick. Say we want to go back to Sherwood School District. Let's go to school, then down to Sherwood, Washington County. We want to send a mailer out to all the doors we knocked today. We're going to check all these groups, preview my results. It's the same number of people. From there, we can go to labels. And this is really cool, like print 1 label per person, label format. Avery 5160 is the most common type of label, so that can be found. Fred Meyer, I think most pharmacies have it. Definitely online retailers have all these labels. And if you press next, you can even just do labels and then copy them. If you're doing handwritten addresses, like that's a nice touch. Oh, and you want to uncheck the box there's a box that says show the county and precinct, which I don't think should be default, because that's kind of silly having it on the label. But you can even just do this and then copy them by hand if you're doing handwritten postcards. If you want to do it basically on a different PDF, let's go back to my list. Let's do print, report format. Let's do Oregon Walk, script. This is another way to get your list. And you can see how it looks this way. Oh, it's still processing, download file. And from here, this is like the old-fashioned way before minivan that folks, oh yeah, this is kind of split up. I wouldn't necessarily do this, but there's a lot of options in van, obviously. If you need, printed lists in a different format, talk to me and we can work through that. But that's a basic guide to starting to talk to your voters. And you can do quick counts. You'd be like quick analysis on your district as well. So feel free to play around with create a list. Let's go back to that Sherwood school district, Washington County. If we want to see in this group, just overall, the district as a whole, like I said, there was 16,491 when we do not select our targets. These are just all voters in the district in Washington County, I should note. You can do quick counts and crosstabs if you want to do analysis. So press that counts button and we can see party breakdown pretty easily. We just go to crosstabs 1, go to party, and we can see Democrats, Republicans, non-affiliated voters. If we want to narrow this down by precinct, which precincts have which voters. So let's see, Washington County, here we go. There are some times when there's movers in between voter file updates, and we're trying to fix that, but that's why you see, kind of a few folks living outside the district sometimes. But you can see the breakdown of the precincts, how many Democrats, how many Republicans are in each precinct, and that kind of, that might inform your targeting decisions, where to target first. But in general, don't worry about, knocking on doors that you've already called. It takes 7 times for folks to be canvassed too much. So don't worry about duplication of efforts, especially in a school board election. In a general election, it's more of a factor, but for now, we want to talk to all the Democrats as possible that vote in spring elections. So this is a basic quick start guide. Any questions you have about van, data, or technology, I read this email all the time, constantly, support@dpo.org. I'll be notified when you email. So any questions, if you get stuck, talk to me, or if you're interested in van access, let me know, and I can point you to the correct person at the county level. You can find more information at dpo.org/candidate about running for van. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have success making your list, cutting your turf, and doing your phone banks. Take care.